So welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the most expensive and the biggest micro four thirds lens that is on the market today, the 150-400 f4.5 Pro lens. And the main question that I have with this lens is it worth the 7,500 euros that they are asking for this, I can say, marvelous piece of technology? Well, if you watch this channel regularly, then you know that I have been using this lens for a little over a year now, and I borrowed it from OM System, and they kind of extended it for a while, and I was lucky enough to use this lens for about a year. And I am a landscape photographer. It might sound strange that I'm using a lens like this, and the funny thing is that I think it's fair to say that I have abused this lens. You know, of course, they've designed it for wildlife, but it's one heck of a lens for landscape photography also. You know, I love these telephoto shots, long distance telephoto shots, and this thing is so razor sharp. It creates such clear images. It is absolutely amazing. So as a landscape photographer, it might be a little overkill. But the problem that I had, and that's why I borrowed this lens in the first case, is I wanted to go to Sweden last year. And of course you have some travel restrictions on the weight and size of your luggage. And I always carried around two lenses. So the 100-400 and the 300mm. This one was more for my landscapes, my longer telephoto landscapes, and the 300 was for some occasional wildlife that I might come across. And carrying those two lenses to Sweden made me realize that my luggage was too heavy. So I asked OM System, can I borrow this lens for that trip? And it saved me those two lenses. And that's why I started using this big white beast of a lens. And I'll just put it down here so you can see it. Yeah, I kind of got used to it. I really got used to it. And to answer the question straight away, I absolutely love this thing, and it is by far the most clear lens that I have ever used. I have to say, if you purely look at sharpness, the 300mm in my opinion is just a little bit sharper, but this is a prime and this is a zoom, so you have more reach with this one, and you have this flexibility, and I think the weight is about the same, and this thing looks massive. But if you get rid of the sun hood, just compare them, you know, it is not that much bigger. It is not that much bigger. Just look at it. It is a little bigger, but it's not massive, what you would expect for an enormous lens like this. And if you buy the 150-400, you get it with this protection cap that you can put on the front. If you don't like this on your camera, just order the 95mm lens cap from the 150-600. It fits on this lens, so you won't have to use this one if you don't like it. I probably never bothered by it myself, but yeah, if you want it, you can. A 95mm lens cap fits on this lens. So just to make sure, it's a 150-400 with a built-in 1.25 teleconverter, and you can also use the 1.4 teleconverter and the 2x teleconverter on this lens. I've tried the 1.4 teleconverter, and there is actually no difference in image quality there. It's just absolutely amazing, and it has all the buttons down here for range, focus limiter, manual focus, autofocus, stabilization. You can program some presets. You can put the sound on and off if you want to. So it has a lot of possibilities. This is actually kind of neat, the way they constructed this lens collar here. Really nice. You can't take it off the lens, but to be honest, if you're hand holding it, it's actually quite nice to hold it like this. And yeah, like I said, I have abused this thing for landscapes over the past year, and People might say this thing is not made for landscapes. No, it's not made for landscape, but it is damn good at taking landscape images, I can tell you that. But just to test this thing for what it is actually used for, I took this thing out for some bird photography. And I recently discovered a little area here close to my house where there are some bearded tits. And I thought to myself, let's try and photograph these. Well, that's not due to this lens, but that was proven to be a little bit more difficult than I anticipated. So let's go to the footage that I recorded on location and see what I got with this lens on location here close to my house. So about an hour ago I arrived in this spot over here, and there was this beautiful rainbow all over the sky, and I just wanted to pick my camera out of the bag, and I just realized that there was no camera in the bag. Can you believe it? A photographer that forgot his camera. Never happened to me before. But last week I did a little photo shoot of friends of ours, and I put the camera in a smaller bag and apparently I didn't do it back in my big backpack. It's all muddy here, and so I should have worn some wellies, would have been better. But yeah, so I had to drive back. It's about an hour later now. Luckily I wasn't as far away from my home as I could have gone. But yeah, let's see if we can find anything here. It's a little bit difficult to make a bird photography video, you know, showing what I'm doing might be a little bit complicated, but I'm going to do my best to see what I can do. But first, let's find those birds. Well, at least there are more than enough birds here. There are a couple of islands here. It's all pretty far away and difficult to photograph them in flight through a little hole like this. You see, I'm here. Hello. So there are a lot of ducks and geese and cormorants. So there is enough to photograph, but it's not the most ideal situation behind a fence like this. Would have been nice if I could have been a little bit closer. And you know, I can't photograph birds in flight through a hole like this. I have to have a lot of movement, so I don't think this is the spot that I'm looking for. So I might walk back a little bit. Took a couple of shots of the geese, and yeah, hopefully one of those worked out. But I'm gonna find another spot where it hopefully is a little bit easier to photograph them. So I walked away from that bird watching fence, and I found a new location here in the middle of those reeds over here. And I'm looking for a bearded tit, a very small bird. But they just look really nice. It looks like they've got some sort of mustache or something like that. And I've never been able to photograph them before. They have a very distinguished call, but the noise from the freeway that you can see behind me there is pretty loud, so I can't really hear them. Yeah, there is a white heron flying over. Just a minute. So I'm just looking at the back of the camera if everything is in focus, and it seems to be in focus. What I noticed, I like to photograph in the manual position, and right now I have the aperture set at F4.5, the ISO is 1000, continuous autofocus, and repeating shutter, bird recognition, and I'm at 1/3000 of a second at the moment. So it should be more than enough to get the birds clearly in focus. So yeah, let's see in this heron shot here if that worked out or not. I just figured that there was way too much wind for those little birds to sit on top of these reeds. So a couple of days later I went back with my son to this area, and we had some beautiful light on a very cold, frosty morning. So I couldn't resist photographing these reeds first with that beautiful light, and especially this one. It just looks like a double exposure, very abstract, but I absolutely love it. But the geese were there, and we found a grebe a couple minutes later with a perfect reflection. It just looked really nice. But those small birds, there were just a couple of them sitting on top of the reeds, and it still wasn't what I was looking for. So I just needed to go back once again. So again, it's a few days later from when I was out with my son here, and now the temperature has raised a lot. You can see it. I've got my summer jacket on. There's not much wind, and there are a lot of birds. I've got the blue breast and a couple of other ones, but still not the bearded tit that I wanted to photograph. But it's a nice morning to test out the 150-400 now and what it's capable of. And I'm just trying to avoid photographing towards the sun, so the birds are much more beautiful. You can see the colors better when you're photographing them away from the sun. So I'm looking in this direction mainly and try to photograph them and see if I can find something. It's difficult to film them, but I got a couple of shots already which I think are absolutely worth showing. So here are the shots that I've got until now, and yeah, hopefully I can find that bearded tit. That would be nice. So one of the main advantages of this 150-400 compared to, for example, the 150-600 is that the focus ring is on the front here. So if you want to change your focus just a little bit, if the camera catches one of those reeds or grasses instead of the bird, you can just adjust it slightly with your thumb when you're holding the camera. And just gonna try to show you. Usually I have my hand like this, something like this, so I can just turn it with my fingers slightly. And that's just really nice in an area like this where the birds are hiding between the reeds. And I just photographed one of those blue breasts sitting in the middle of those reeds, and those reeds were blowing to the left and the right, and every time the camera lost focus because there was something in front of the bird. But just by turning it manually, you can very fast get back to the focus on the bird. So yeah, absolutely a very nice feature of this lens compared to the 150-600. The 300 also uses this method. So yeah, very nice. So this is the blue breast between all those grasses, those reeds, and hopefully it is in focus. If it didn't, then it was my mistake because I turned the wheel. I'm still surprised by the weight and the size of this lens. It is so easy to photograph birds with this lens. It's absolutely amazing. I've tried the 150-600 ones. It was way too heavy, but this thing, it looks very large, but it isn't that large. Now I'll show at home in the studio. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic piece of equipment. And yeah, I would hate to let go of this thing, but unfortunately it has to go back to OM Systems soon. So yeah, just having one day of fun with it before it has to return. So we just had a blue breast sitting on the side of a path here, very open, so we could photograph it very easily. And I took a couple of shots. There were two people standing next to me, and the funny thing was that we started comparing the images, and they were all looking at my image like, yeah, can you zoom out a little bit? So I said, no, I'm not zoomed out, this is the image. He said, no, that's not possible. I said, well, it is 1000 millimeters full frame equivalent, you know, absolutely ridiculous amount of focal range on this thing. And yeah, it's compared to nothing. There's nothing available that is handleable and weightful as this with that amount of focal range. So, and that all in an f4.5 lens, absolutely fantastic. So here are some more shots from the blue breast. So this is the end of my little field trip, so let's get back to the studio and talk about this thing a little bit more. So, and I just looked at all those images that you've seen coming by on this on-location footage, and I am absolutely amazed by the quality of this lens, the amount of feathers of the birds that you can still see. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't do much birds in flight. It's a whole different story, and to be honest, it's not about the lens, but I'm not really good at it, and it has everything to do with the enormous focal range. You know, try to zoom this thing out to the maximum, like 1000 millimeters, and try to keep the bird in the frame. It is very difficult. You know, stabilization is great, the autofocus is great, but keeping that bird in your viewfinder, I find it really, really difficult, and I struggle with it. And sometimes it works. I'll show a couple of images where it worked for me. But just to show you what this thing is capable of, I asked my fellow OM System ambassador and friend Alexander Koenders. For OM System users, you might know Alexander. He's also a Dutch photographer, and he is an amazing wildlife and a bird photographer. He is a great photographer in general, but his specialty is definitely wildlife and bird photography. And I asked him if he had a couple of images that I could show from birds in flight, and you can see them come by on the screen here. It is absolutely fantastic, even in low light situations, where he just really caught the emotion of that moment with this lens. And yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic. And if you want to see some more images from Alexander, I'll put a link underneath this video to his website and to his Instagram, where you can, or Facebook, where you can see his images. Follow him, and he uses this lens now with the OM-1 Mark II, and it is absolutely amazing what he is producing with that stuff. And you know, I'm just the guy that photographs birds on a little twig or branch or whatever, but I have to practice a lot more to do the in-flight stuff that he does, and that has nothing to do with this lens, but it has everything to do with my capabilities. You know, I'm just real honest. I did a lot of bird photography in the past, years ago, but somehow I got into landscapes, and the birds just got a little bit faded out to the background, and I have to get back into that material to do that. So yeah, I can make a long story short. The question is this lens worth 7.5 grand? Honestly, it is worth every penny they ask for it, and it's a bloody shame that I have to say I just can't afford this thing myself. Not yet, but I am very sure that one day we will meet again. You know, there is a big blue box here, and I'll show you this one here. It arrived yesterday, and this is where my lens has to go in, and it has to go back to OM system. But I really enjoyed that time that I had with it. And if you just look at the size and weight, I'm gonna have to use these two lenses again. I have to take these with me again. But they are a lot heavier together than the 150 to 400. So I'm gonna have to be, how do you say that in English? I have no idea. But I guess what I want to say is that I don't like it. I definitely don't like it. You know, I was downsizing. I went for the 8 to 25 instead of the 7-14 and the 12 to 40. And I only had 3 lenses at the moment with me. And I was really enjoying that lightweight travel kit that I had. And now I have to get or only the 100 to 400 or this lens. I have to make some choices. And that's what the 150 to 400 prevented. I didn't have to make any choices. I didn't have to make any concessions with it. I just love it. It's a marvelous piece of technology, and I'm not saying that because I'm an OM system ambassador. I'm saying that because this is my own experience, and it's been an absolute pleasure and like a dream come true to use this lens for such a long time. And yeah, I'm just absolutely I fall in love with it, you know. I fall in love with it. So if you are a wildlife photographer, and I know, you know, 7.5 grand sounds like a lot of money, but if you compare this thing to, for example, the new Sigma 300 to 600, this one can zoom further than that lens. This one has a lower aperture than that lens. And now I hear people say, yeah, but on a full frame camera, you get a much blurrier background. Well, that's actually nonsense, because if you zoom this thing to the maximum, the whole background will be faded out by itself. It's just due to the zoom you lose the background, and it has nothing to do with the aperture. So yeah, don't worry about that with this lens. It's absolutely fantastic for birds and wildlife photography. And yeah, for landscapes, you've seen some images come by on the screen here. I think it's an absolute yeah, fantastic thing to carry along with me as a landscape photographer. And it's given me so many great opportunities and some strange looking faces when as a landscape photographer, I pull this thing out of the bag and people are looking on the back of the screen, and they're thinking, how can you reach that? And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, it's 1,000 millimeters, and you know, you get some really strange faces, I can tell you that. So yeah, the answer to the question, absolutely, it is worth every penny. It is expensive, but you get a lot of buck for your money with this lens. And yeah, I would highly recommend this thing to anyone. And like I said, compared to other lenses, I actually think there is nothing that this lens can compare with. It is kind of a unique thing. There's nothing as portable as this one with this range. You have the 150 to 600 from OM system, but it's a lot heavier, it's a lot larger, and the zoom comes out of the lens. So this is all internal, but the other one is external. So it kind of gets like this big when you zoom it out, and it's just not as nice to handle when you're out on your photography trips. So yeah, for me, the best alternative in that focal range is definitely this lens. And even though the 300mm is really sharp, I would probably prefer the new 100 to 400 Mark II behind it, because this is a zoom, and I just prefer zoom over primes. If I was only into bird photography, then I would consider the 300mm because it's razor sharp, even with teleconverters. But as an all-round lens that you can carry around you, yeah, all day long and photograph anything from landscapes to birds to wildlife and even macro shots. This is the absolute best lens that you will ever use in your life. So that's what I wanted to state. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about this video or want my advice, feel free to contact me. Write a message, a comment under this video, or use the website as a contact form on my website. Facebook, Instagram Messenger. Yeah, please send me a message. No problem at all. I'll be happy to help if I can. So yeah, I think this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video, this little recap on this lens, the experience and how I use this lens, what my experience is over the past year. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. So I'm going to pack this thing in my big blue box and send it back to Portugal. And I just hope that I will see it again someday. So I hope I will see you again next week. So please push the thumbs up button and leave a comment underneath this video if you enjoyed it. And there is a subscribe button underneath this video. If you push that and the little notification bell, then I will definitely see you on Sunday. You will get a message from YouTube when I release my next video. If you don't want to watch it, just swipe it away. If you're interested and you have some time available, just click the video and watch it. You will massively support this channel and yeah, make these videos more visible on YouTube. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next video, and bye bye.